In the last video, I tracked the alignment from Pakistan's Waziristan region in the Khyber-Pakhtunkwha Province through Ghazni, an ancient city with a rich heritage in Afghanistan, to Herat, the third largest city in Afghanistan, and referred to in literature as the Pearl of the Khorasan. My name is Michelle Gibson. Mashhad is the second most populous city in Iran and the capital of the Razavi Khorasan Province. Khorasan was a province in northeastern Iran from 1906 to 2004, but historically referred to a much larger area comprising the east and northeast of the Persian Empire, including, besides northeastern Iran, parts of Afghanistan and much of Central Asia. While Khorasan is said to mean the eastern province, it is also said to mean the land of the sun. During the Kahar dynasty and empire of what was then called the Sublime State of Persia, between 1789 and 1925, Britain supported the Afghans to protect their East India Company. I have encountered the very active hand of the British East India Company in the takedown of the old empires of this part of the world while tracking this alignment. So Herat in Afghanistan, which I visited in the last video, was separated from Persia, and the king of Persia, Nasser al-Din Shah, was unable to defeat the British to take back Herat. Nasser al-Din Shah was born in 1848 and assassinated in 1896, while in prayer at the Shah Abdul Azim Shrine in Ray, what is called the oldest existing city in Tehran province. Persia was compelled by treaty not to challenge the British for Herat and other parts of what is today Afghanistan. Khorasan was divided into two parts in 1906, with the eastern part coming under British occupation and the western section remaining part of Persia, shown here. Seems like dividing and partitioning were used as weapons in the dismantling and reorganization of once mighty empires. Persia historically was part of the vast Persian Empire, which in more ancient times, as we are told, included all of the following present-day countries: Afghanistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Egypt, Georgia, Iraq, Israel, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Oman, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Turkey, and Uzbekistan. On the Nowruz, or New Year of 1935, the Shah of Iran, Reza Shah Pahlavi, asked foreign delegates to use the term Iran in formal correspondence. This also changed the usage of the country's national identity from Persian to Iranian. Reza Shah Pahlavi was deposed in September of 1941 as a result of the British and Soviet invasion of Iran during World War II, because he was seen as a German ally, even though Iran had maintained neutrality in the conflict, and which took place purportedly to secure Iran's oil fields and ensure Allied supply lines along the Persian corridor. He was replaced as Shah by his young son at the time, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the last Shah, or Emperor, of Iran. Shah Reza Pahlavi was overthrown as Iran's head of state on February 11, 1979, after which time the country became the Islamic Republic of Iran, with what is called a unitary theocratic republican authoritarian presidential system subject to a supreme leader or grand ayatollah. So things changed considerably for the people in the Islamic Republic of Iran after 1979. This picture of the citizenry was taken in 2012. And these pictures were taken before the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran. So what has been going on here? How did Islam in Persia/Iran morph from the Sufi Islam of Rumi, a 13th century Persian from the Greater Khorasan, who was an Islamic jurist, scholar, theologian, mystic, and poet, into the radical fundamentalist Islam that came into power in Iran. I think it has something to do with this quote from Albert Pike, described as an American author, poet, orator, jurist, and prominent member of the Freemasons. And by the way, how did he know about a First and Second World War in 1871? Albert Pike was also a senior officer of the Confederate Army who commanded the District of Indian Territory in the Trans-Mississippi Theater of the American Civil War. I've never heard of this. I will have to look into it. Regardless of what happened, or how it happened, this is what has been happening on the streets of Iran more recently. So back to Mashhad. Let's take a closer look and see what is found there. The city of Mashhad in modern Iran was a major oasis along the ancient Silk Road. Connecting with Merv in present-day Turkmenistan to the east, once a major city in Central Asia and said to have been one of the largest cities in the world during the 12th and 13th centuries. An ancient city near Mashhad, called Tus, is a location of Ferdowsi's tomb, said to have been built in 1934, in time for the millennium of the birth of Abdul Qasim Ferdowsi Tusi, born in 940 AD and died in 1020 AD, and the author of the Shahnameh, or Book of Kings, the national epic of Greater Iran and called one of the world's longest epic poems created by a single poet. This is a Google Earth screenshot of Millat Park, the largest park in Mashhad, which includes on its grounds what is described as one of the best and most famous amusement parks in Iran, the Millat Luna Park, and one of several amusement parks in Mashhad. Interestingly, Luna Park was the name of numerous historical trolley and amusement parks in the United States. This is a photo of the original Luna Park in Brooklyn, New York, with Moorish-looking buildings. It was in operation from 1903 to 1944, at which time it was destroyed by fire. And it had an entrance with a huge face, just like the entrance with the huge face and Moorish-looking buildings at Luna Park in Sydney, Australia. Though still in operation today, Sydney's Luna Park entrance had a facelift, for some reason. Some other things I would like to point out in the greater park of Mashhad's Millat Park is its amazing hydrological features and beautiful fountains. And canals, with fountains included. This canal is in Torkabay, a short distance east of Mashhad. I have found canal systems throughout Asia and elsewhere, including, but far from limited to, Khorghan-Tepe in Tajikistan, and the Canal-e-Varzab in Dushanbe, the capital of Tajikistan, as well as the Angkor Canal in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. These places were all once part of the Greater Khorasan of the Persian Empire as well. There are beautiful hydrological works at Mashhad's Vakil Abad Park, like this one, and this one at Vakil Abad Park in Mashhad on the top, and the similar hydrological design with the watercourse built into the steps in Jalapa, Mexico, pictured on the bottom. Mashhad has been called Iran's spiritual capital, and is the location of the Imam Reza Shrine, the largest mosque in the world by area. This is a comparison of the front of the Imam Reza Shrine on the top left, compared with the Jama Masjid Mosque in Delhi, India on the right, and the front of the Vorontsov Palace in Lubka, Crimea. We are told the Scots baronial and Moorish revival styles had been introduced to the Crimea, located on the Black Sea with the Vorontsov Palace in the 1820s, by British architect Edward Blore. Blore was also said not to have had any formal training in architecture. His training was instead in antiquarian draftsmanship. These photos show the exquisitely crafted interior of the Imam Reza Shrine in Mashhad. Mashhad is a prominent center of the carpet weaving industry, having been a major producer of Persian rugs for centuries. And it is not hard for me to see the shapes made by a kaleidoscope in this particular rug. Mashhad has a reputation for creating some of the best items on the market. And immediately I see a cathedral window pattern in this Mashhad Persian rug. This is a comparison of the star shapes found in an antique Mashhad Persian rug on the top left, with a window in the facade of the Central Synagogue of New York in the top middle, and a design found on a wooden partition at the entrance of the Coricancha in Cusco, Peru on the top right. And on the bottom left, note the design patterns on what appears to be a wooden screen in the background of what was a photograph of Prince Andrew and Queen Elizabeth. A star design found at the Alhambra in Granada, Spain on the bottom middle, and what is called a Turkish Iznik pattern on the bottom right. These are just some examples of incredibly similar design patterns that I have found worldwide. Mashhad is connected to 3 major rail lines: Tehran-Mashhad running west, Mashhad-Bakh running south, and Mashhad-Sarax running east. The interesting thing is how interconnected the railways of Asia are with each other. I mean, doesn't that take incredible planning and coordination across all of these different countries? With regards to Iran, we are told that the first Iranian rail lines were established in 1886 and 1887, albeit on a limited basis. Then the 865-mile, or 1,392-kilometer, Trans-Iranian Railroad was opened during the reign of Reza Shah Pahlavi in 1939, which would have been 2 years before he was deposed by Allied British and Soviet forces in 1941, and replaced as Shah by his son. We are told this railway traverses many mountain ranges and is full of spirals and steep grades, and that much of the terrain was unmapped when the construction took place in unknown geology. Yet this rail line was supposedly completed ahead of schedule. We are told the Trans-Iranian rail line was part of the Persian corridor during World War II after the Anglo-Soviet invasion of 1941, and used as a supply route for war material for the Soviet Union. Supposedly completed by the Iranians in 1939, just in time for the start of and used during World War II by the Allies. Like the Panama Canal opening on August 15th, 1914. Just in time for the beginning of World War I, which started on July 28th, 1914. Just a coincidence? I really wonder about that. In addition to the above-ground rail system in Mashhad, there is also an underground system there as well. Just like the underground systems found around the world, like in Budapest, Hungary. in Hamburg, Germany, in St. Petersburg, Russia, and Sydney, Australia. I have found incredible similarities between all rail systems around the world, which are integrated train, streetcar, and subway transportation systems in urban areas, and I find this in places that I would not otherwise expect to find it, like, for instance, subways in Mashhad. While not identical layouts in all of these places, there are definite similarities across countries and continents in how rail lines are laid out, right down to the color coding of all of them. Then when I looked into electric circuitry, I found the same colors, with each having a different function in circuitry. They feature exactly the same colors as the different rail lines of underground systems. I have speculated that rail systems in general function as electrical circuitry on the planetary grid system. See my video going deep into underground railway systems for more information on this type of rail system. I don't believe for a moment that the people we are told built all of this transportation infrastructure were the actual builders of it. I believe the master builders of the original advanced ancient worldwide Moorish civilization deserve the credit for all of these massive and integrated transportation engineering projects. It makes a whole lot more sense to me than miraculous, practically overnight engineering wonders. Humanity got knocked off the original positive timeline by a cataclysm causing a worldwide flood of mud, I believe deliberately caused, and someone's were shovel-ready to dig out enough infrastructure to restart the New World civilization for the New World Order. Heading out of Mashhad towards the Elburz Mountains, the Akhlamad waterfall is located in the village of Akhlamad, 52 miles or 85 kilometers from Mashhad in the Razavi Khorasan Province. Nicely cut stone block there in the foreground. While we are told the waterfall dates from the late Jurassic geologic age of roughly 163 million years to 145 million years ago, this sure looks like an ancient wall to me, of which I have seen many waterfalls flowing from what also look like ancient walls, like the Tequendama Falls near Bogota, Colombia, the Wentworth Falls in New South Wales, in the Blue Mountains of the Great Dividing Range in Australia, and the Twin Falls in Seneca, New York, to name a few of many such examples of what looks like ancient masonry. These stone walls are found at Akhlamad as well. Compare the high stone walls at Akhlamad in Iran with these at Virginius Island near Harper's Ferry in West Virginia. And Sangbo's Erido, said to be a massive system of defensive walls in Nigeria. Next, the alignment comes to the Elburz, a mountain range in northern Iran that stretches from its border with Azerbaijan along the western and entire southern coast of the Caspian Sea, and then runs northeast and merges with the Aladag Mountains in the northern parts of Khorasan. This picture was taken in the early 1970s of a road trip across the Elburz Mountains on one of the main roads between Tehran and the Caspian Sea. These are the Elburz Mountains at Salambar Pass on the Alamat Road in northern Iran. And this picture was taken at the Kopet Dag in Turkmenistan in the eastern end of the Elburz Mountains. I see ancient masonry stone blocks at these places, but this is definitely not what we have been taught. How could it even be possible? Well, there's this, and a lot more things we have never been taught about what humanity was capable of. Mount Damavand is the highest peak in Iran, located in the central Elburz Mountains. We are told it is a stratovolcano built up of alternate layers of lava and ash, and is the highest volcano in Asia. It is a popular climbing destination as one of the 7 volcanic summits mountaineering challenge, the highest volcanoes on each of the 7 continents. Sari, the capital of Iran's Mazandaran province, is on the alignment between the northern slopes of the Elburz Mountains and the Caspian Sea. This is what I found looking into Sari. This is the official logo of the municipality of Sari City. There is an 8-pointed star contained within this design. I have found 8-pointed stars in a lot of places, including but not limited to the Moorish Kiosk in Mexico City, the Mabel Tainter Memorial Theater in Menominee, Wisconsin, and above the chandelier in the abandoned Lowe's Canal Street Theater in Manhattan. As well, there are 8 pointed stars on the chest of the uniform of King Kalakaua of Hawaii, the last monarch of the Kingdom of Hawaii, from February 12, 1874, until his death on January 20, 1891, in San Francisco. Sari's clock tower and square is one of the notable landmarks of the city. And there are clock towers everywhere, like Faisalabad, Pakistan, Gisborne, New Zealand, and the Apia Clock Tower in Samoa. Clock towers similar to these are a thing everywhere I look. They are quite frequently attached to something, and not always in the middle of the street. For example, the clock tower in Wick on Scotland's northeast coast. This historic clock tower in Hong Kong. And this one in Vyborg, Russia. Other notable structures in Sari, Iran include the Resket Tower on the top left, with a noticeable magnetic energy pattern in the bricks, and the Lajim Tower on the top right, also with a noticeable magnetic energy pattern. We were told both of these towers were built as tombs. Next on the alignment is Tabriz, one of the historical capitals of Iran and the present-day capital of Iran's East Azerbaijan province. It is the most populated city in northwestern Iran. It is located on the Kuru River. Is it just me, or does this look like a canal? This is the Sat Tower in Tabriz, also known as the Tabriz Municipality Palace on the top, which not only bears a resemblance to the Victoria Tower at the Houses of Parliament in London on the bottom. The Sat Tower on the left has windows which bear a distinct resemblance to cathedral windows in the west on the right. The last place I want to look at on this alignment in this video is Lake Urmia, located between the provinces of East Azerbaijan in Iran and west of the southern portion of the Caspian Sea. Lake Urmia is described as an endorheic salt lake, or a limited drainage basin with high concentrations of salts and other minerals. It is the 6th largest saltwater lake on Earth. There might be a connection with the name of Urmia to ancient Urartu, also known as the Kingdom of Van, centered around Lake Van in present-day Turkey, but historically part of the Armenian highlands. Lake Van in Turkey is where I will be picking up the alignment in the next video. I would like to give a shout out and thanks to Stuffed Beagle Productions for creating the 2 new opening and closing cards for Piercing the Veil of Illusion.